My name is Ali, and I've been a Christian for about 15 years. My journey from doubt to faith has been an evolution, and it continues to be an evolution. I didn't grow up in a Christian family, but I had many Christian people around me. I had a set of grandparents who were Anglican. I went to church sometimes with them when I visited. They didn't talk to me about Jesus. They didn't talk to me about their faith. I just knew they attended church. I had another set of grandparents who were born-again Christians, and those grandparents paid for my brother and I to go to Christian camp as children. And they eventually led my mother to Christ when she was in her 40s. I liked what I heard about Jesus, but I doubted very much that Jesus was the one and only path to God. I had a very strong sense of God, of there being a God. I had a very strong sense of having a connection and spirit, but I doubted that Jesus was more than a story, maybe. One of my biggest blocks to accepting Christ is that I thought, if I accept that Jesus is true and real, I have to accept that there are demons in the world and that the devil is real. And truly, I didn't want to accept that. I didn't want to know that because I wanted it to stay a story. You know, I didn't want there to be evil. Okay, I just didn't want to acknowledge that was real. And I had this real fear. If I acknowledge Christ, then I also have to know that actually there is darkness. What I've come to realize is that life with God actually sometimes is actually not. It's a bit stranger than fiction sometimes for me, I find. I had an experience. I had an experience where the apartment I lived in Manly had a presence living in the apartment, or a presence in the apartment. And I hated it. It scared me. And I actually thought I was going to have to move to a newer apartment. I didn't realize there was anything I could do about that. And other people who visited often commented about there being something, and my husband just said, just ignore it. But it bothered me, and it's not something I talked to about with my mom, but I went back to Canada to visit, and I went to my mom's, now it was a new church, and I met her pastor for the first time. And he said, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you, and would you like me to pray for you?" And I said, "Sure." And he put his hands on me and he prayed in tongues, which I had never heard before. And then he stopped and he said, "There's something in your house. Do you want me to pray for it to leave? In Jesus' name?" And I said, "That would be great." And he did. And when I came back, it was gone. From Canada to Australia. That's all really creepy, right? But that experience was so liberating for me that when I accepted Christ, I never had fear again. Once I believed in Jesus, it's like the fear of all of that bad stuff left me. And now I kind of go, wow, how do people parent and function and without that faith in the protection that I believe I have, not for nothing bad to ever happen, but actually just to never feel alone in my life. I was not invited to attend an Alpha group, but my neighbor was invited. My neighbor was handed a card, and this was early in my searching for God when I was on my own journaling and reading the Bible. And I was at my friend's home, and her neighbor knocked on her door and handed her a card saying, "Would you like to come to Alpha?" And when she shut the door, she sort of said, awkward, And I looked at the details and I thought, I want to go. I want to do that. And so I went. And so I came to Alpha at St. Matt's. And I came with my anger at the church, and I came with my questions about Christianity and my view that it was quite self-righteous to think that there was only one way to God. And it was wonderful because the young people who were involved in my larger Alpha group at the time, they didn't actually try and answer all my questions when I had questions that they couldn't answer. This one young woman said to me, why don't you just ask God? Ask God and about that. And because I had been journaling and had been reading my Bible and was actively seeking God, what I found is that God led me to answers which settled my heart. I really, at the beginning of my faith journey, felt that was what I needed to do, was just seek God with all my heart. And God started to reveal, himself to me as I did that. It's taken me a long time to really know that Jesus is the real manifestation of God on this earth. And it really, I remember when I discovered, when it sort of hit me, I remember it kind of again like hitting me like a emotional hit, and I just couldn't get enough of almost telling everyone I knew who had probably thought I was a Christian for a decade. If you know what I know it's weird, but when it really hit me, that's I guess why I say my relationship I think has been evolving, and there's some aspects of my own faith that I still feel like a baby. It was only, again, part of my evolution that I realized that relationship with other Christians was so not just beautiful and not just I just really do feel like part of Christ's body, and I love that. But being part of the women's Bible study with women who are in all different journeys and has been the greatest group environment and church community that I could have been in my search for God, really.